What's going on, everyone? It's Barles, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Forecast. So we've got a fair bit to discuss today. Hang on, let me put out my normal tweet that I do when I go live. Hang on, give me 2 seconds here. There we go. All right, how are we all doing? Hope we're all doing well. Obviously, last night was a good night for a lot of people, not so much myself, as someone that didn't get Luke Jackson in. He played very, very well. But yeah, as we got a few people here, so Max Matthews, can't believe I decided to not trade Jackson in for this round. I pulled out last minute. Yeah. I decided we should Darcy over Luke Jackson. And as a sicko, that someone doesn't have Luke Jackson, I hope Max Gawn comes back next week, because then I won't look like I've got pie on my face with that one. But yeah, I know a couple people talked me into doing it, but I probably should have listened. But oh well. Shannon Page, woohoo! Luke Jackson, Q Max coming back earlier than expected. It's okay, Gorny, relax and put your feet up for a few weeks. Few rounds of price rises. Yeah, people that don't have Luke Jackson won't be hoping that, but people that do will definitely be hoping Gawn just takes it easy for another week or so. So, JR, I changed 5 minutes before Melbourne played to Jackson from having Sean Darcy, who I had all week as my English replacement, so I could have anyone. So I could have enough cash for next week. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I that's similar to what I did. I've got no rookies on field besides Dacos, so I don't actually need the cash. So yeah, yeah, there you go. And then Moonboy Bales, I'm on the road, mate, going away for the weekend. No questions this week, but good luck. Thanks, Moonboy. That's all good, mate. I hope you have a good time on the road, mate, and whatever you're doing. So, yeah, there you go. And then Moynier Monkey, I will get to that question as well when we do the questions towards the end once we've got through all the games. But thank you for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you're enjoying the videos around here, the Weekend Forecast and Weekend Report. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We've got a couple more. We're on 462, so now we're only 38 away from 500. So if you one of 38 people that haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, because then I'll reach 500 and I'll be very, very, very grateful for that. So let's get stuck into everything. So we'll go through a quick review of last night's game, then we'll obviously go through all the other games and who look at and stuff like that. Then I'll be answering your question at the end. Also, I'll be doing a Twitter Spaces after this, literally directly after this on Twitter. So if you want to continue the fantasy chat, get more questions answered, maybe even jump on and have a chat, make sure you jump over there. At this stage, I might be getting Urban from Hat Chat coming on. He might be able to come on. So you might be able to get him and maybe a couple of other people come on. So hopefully we'll be looking forward to that. So anyway, let's get stuck into the Melbourne and Brisbane game from last night. So I'll start off with Hugh McCluggage, who was the highest scoring player on the ground with 136. So that's 3 games in a row now. Hugh McCluggage has done this: 118, 114, and 136. Obviously, 11 tackles is fantastic as well to boost that to that 130. For me, he's too expensive to be an option now. He is over, I think he's like 840 or something now. So he is quite expensive. Let me get the exact price up. So I'm pretty sure he's about 841, break even of 100. So he's going to go up more. For me, he's too expensive, but he did play really well. And if you have got him, you jumped on him a couple of weeks ago before this good run, you'd be very, very happy with that. And another big score as well. Playing a lot more of that inside mid role. So in terms of CBA numbers from the game last night, if I quickly get up how many he had from the game, I know Lachie Neale was obviously the most, like he normally is. Hugh McCluggage was. He was 21 of how many was there? It was like 28 or something. 27. So there's 27 CBAs and McCluggage was 21. So he was the most, and he played 90% time ground. So he's playing very, very well. So he's just, doing very, very well. Luke Jackson, obviously the big one. So 125 points. If you jumped on him, congrats. You'd be very, very happy with that score. Yeah, it was painful watching that. Considering I started the week with him, then I went to Sean Darcy, who I've said all year I'm not really keen on because of his injury history, but then I'm going him anyway because I think he could be the top scorer out of all. So that doesn't make a lot of sense, saying you're not going to get someone than you are, but such is the ruck situation at the moment. But yeah, played really, really well. It obviously helped the fact that Big O kept taking the ball out of the ruck, which allowed Jackson for those tackles. So yeah, very, very helpful. 125. Max Gawn will be back within the next fortnight. So Luke Jackson is probably only going to have maybe one more week. If Gawn doesn't come back next week, he'll be back, I think, against Geelong not the latest, but from pretty much what he said. He said last night that next week's an option and so is Geelong. So just something to keep an eye on, but you would be very happy. Even if Luke Jackson was only there for a week, 125, you're taking that every day of the week. So very happy with that. Nice price rise for him. And kudos to everyone that jumped on him. I wish I did. Jack Viney, 118, backed up his 157 before the bye with a 118. So he's probably playing the best I've seen Luke Jackson play. Sorry, not Luke Jackson. He did play the best game I've seen Luke Jackson play, but it's probably the best I've seen Viney play now, these 2 games in a row. Like, he looks really good, looks hungry, tackling, getting a lot of the ball. He's not an option. It'd be very good, a lot more for draft, but I think he's probably in career best form, really. I can't remember. Jack Viney's been great for a number of years, but I think he's playing as good as what he has, and he's not getting the same attention because of Oliver Petrarca there. So, yeah, he's playing very well. Big O, Oscar McInerney. So it seems as though it was a ruck feast out there because he got his high score of the season with a 116. He had like 22 disposals or something, so he was racking up as well. So just a big night for rucks in general. Daniel Rich, 112, responded well since he got that 37 with a 125 and 97 and now the 112. So he's been really good since then. I don't see him being a top 6 defender, but he's been solid and for most of the year really take out that 37 game. Chris Petrarca. So this could have been a lot bigger. I remember I tweeted about it on Twitter. I was very angry. Bailey Fritsch could have handballed the ball to Petrarca, would have been an open goal. Instead, he got tackled and was holding the ball. Fritsch does that a fair bit. He's a great forward, but he does tend to be a little bit selfish when he's inside the forward 50 and not actually give it to teammates. So I was a bit annoyed at that. Petrarca, that could have been a 120, and he got burned another 3 or 4 times in the first quarter alone, let alone he probably got burned like 5 or 6 times throughout the game when they probably should have passed to him. But I'm happy with 100. He's back on track, and he looked good. So hopefully that's the sign of things to come. Angus Brayshaw, he's been really good. So even with Stephen Mayback, got another 100. That's 400s in a row now. 105. He's averaging 99 for the year. I think since round 6, I think he's only gone 2 times under 100, I believe. And that was a 90 and then a 67, which was his only poor game. And that was in rounds 9 and 10 against North Melbourne and West Coast. So the two of the easier matchups. So he's been really good. I know he's only 3 of the last 4 have only been sort of base hundreds, but he's been very, very good. And he's certainly in that mix for those top 6 defenders now. I didn't have him in the mix there, but I think he's got to be in that mix now because he's playing this role even with Salem and Mayback. So, yeah, definite sort of target you can potentially look at. I think he's getting a little bit expensive, but if he's going to be a top 6 defender, I think it's fine. So 791. He'll probably just nudge over 800k, but yeah, I don't mind him as an option moving forward. Clayton Oliver, so he slowed after halftime. He's on 60 at the half. Had a quiet sort of first quarter, had about 20 odd points, but he was a bit quiet by his standards, and then went bang in the second quarter. Had a sort of quiet. He only had the real one big quarter, but at least Oliver got you 100 for you. I know a lot of people would have put the VC on him, but yeah, you'd just be happy that he got 100 in the end. Kadeen Coleman, so if you're still rolling with Kitty Coleman, you'd be very happy with that. Now, did he get 90 or 94? I don't know if there was a late adjustment because I've got 90 on my notes. Yeah, he got a 90, so yeah, late adjustment, he lost a tackle. So if you're still around with him, you'd be very happy with that. Back-to-back 90s now, so cash generation sort of kick-started a little bit in, so you'd probably hold him for another week or two, and then maybe make some more money. If not, then you can just trade him out after next week if he doesn't have a good game. But yeah, I'd probably hold for at least another week because he's performed quite well in back-to-back weeks. Lachie Neale, poor night for Neale. Again, still played well when he had the ball, but in terms he got tagged by harms the whole night. Could we see more of this on the run home? That's the big question. I think that teams would be stupid not to tag Lachie Neale because we've seen Lachie Neale win 3 games this year pretty much from him. So, yeah, I don't know. It probably will happen on the run home, but it just depends if they're going to stop him. Because this was the first game all year, taking away the injury affected 86. This is the first time he's actually gone under 96 all year. So it's his first bad game. You can have one bad game in a year, so I'm definitely not disappointed with that. He's got the Bulldogs in. I don't see them tagging. He's got the Bombers again. So the Bombers, he obviously dominates. They're going to have to tag him because it's been known that he dominates S in the past. So, yeah, hopefully he'll still be a top 8 midfielder. But, yeah, just disappointing night for Lachie at the office. But then again, Brisbane were just not great in general besides that first quarter. Christian Salem had a knee concern early, only got the 61. He did play the rest of the game out. But if you did jump on him, I still think it was a good play. He was cheap at $6.55, but unfortunately, just that knee concern. I don't know if that'll be a thing that will, because it was the same knee that he was actually out for at the start of the year. So I don't know if that'll be a problem moving forward, but hopefully he'll be able to rebound for you guys next week. Jared Lyons, 42. He copped a massive hit from Fritsch in the second quarter. Got a knee right in the sternum. So I think they said something about its rib cartilage is the injury they're saying potentially. They don't think it's a broken rib. So let's just wait and see if he comes back for you guys next week. But then again, this might even be not a bad excuse to get rid of him. He's going to drop in cash a fair bit now. So you can probably move on from him. He hasn't been, I know he's been good the last couple of weeks with a couple of decent scores, but he's not going to be a top 8 mid. And I think he will still be over 800K. So you'll be able to get in a top sort of 8 midfielder from him. It's not going to cost you much. So actually, let's have a look. So Jared Lyons had a break in 93, 841. So he's going to be closer to 800, but you can move him on to even like a guy like a Bont or something like that in your forward line next week, or you can even pay a little bit more and you can get in like even a Took. It's only like going to be maybe 80 odd K next week, something like that. Or McRae, it might cost you 120K, but so it's someone like that, or Laird, Oliver, Mills, Brochure, if you can afford up to those big boys, or something like that anyway. But you can definitely get someone, or even side by side the Petrarca, because he looked good last night. James Tunstall's, he was quiet on debut, but Brisbane losing badly didn't obviously help. But I think with the fact that they did play so poorly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's dropped next week, which is probably harsh. They've only played the one game, but they didn't play very good after quarter time. So they might have to make a change and bring a couple of guys back. Plus, Zach Bailey will be back in, and Dayne Zorko sounds like he's pretty much a certainty to come back in. So, I don't know if he'll be in the team. So, let's get stuck into the other games. The other 8 games. We've got 2 games tonight. I don't understand why we've got a game at 6:30 and then at 8:10. It's going to be overlapping. I just don't understand. If you're going to do something like that, then make this game at like 5:30 or 5:40, and then the other game at 8:10 or something. But on a Friday night, it's a bit weird to be overlapping games, but such is the way that the fixturing is. Western Bulldogs Hawthorns, the first game. So trade targets, Jack McRae had his first big game last week. He's started to really turn up the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. So with that 1 foot, obviously it really stands out that he's been really good. So since round 8, he's gone 110, 123, 96, 107, 124, 148. So he's been really good, especially the last 2 weeks. His tackling's back. He's tackling. He's gone 8 and 9 in back-to-back weeks. So he is looking really good. He's been pretty good on Hawthorn his last few. I think he's gone over 100 in his last 5, and there's some 120s and stuff in there. So hopefully he can be big tonight. He'll be my captain heading into tonight after Lockie Neal didn't do the business for me, unfortunately, last night. But McRae, definite trade target. Josh Dunkley, if you don't have him, definitely jump on him. He's still going to be a top sort of 1 or 2. He's going to be the top forward or top 2 forward. Marcus Bonampelli, great target. I'm bringing him in this week. Great match against Hawthorn. I think that he'll average over 100 for the rest of the year and potentially could push that 105, 110 mark. I don't think he's going to be 110. He's probably going to be, I think he's going to be around that 105 mark, but he could, I'm just saying he could push it. So definite target. He's under 800K. He's not going to be this much cheaper for long. So thank you, Billy7869X, for subscribing to the channel, mate. Really do appreciate it. That's now 463, I believe. So, 463. So 37 left. Subscribe channel, please, if you can. That'd be very much appreciated. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Billy, mate. Appreciate it. Adam Treloar as well is the other guy that is a good target as well. Him and Bont are both going to be top 6 forwards, so I do like Treloar as well. I prefer Bont just. I do like both. I just think that Bont is one of the best players in the comp. That's why I just edge him first. But Adam Treloar, another great target as well. They both got Hawthorn, great matchup this week. Other players watching this game, so Tom Mitchell, tough match against the Dogs. Obviously, they're very restrictive, but hopefully Tom Mitchell can just score us 100 for his owners and myself, that is one of his owners. But hopefully he'll be okay tonight. Tom Liberatore is another name a few people have been talking about. I prefer Bont, Treloar, Dunkley, and then English, and also Bailey Smith when he comes back. So I don't think I want all those dogs. But Lib is a guy that if you want to jump on him, or you want a fun name to jump on, he's not the worst to jump on. Good matchup as well tonight. James Sicily, he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be a top 6 defender, but he's still around the mark. And hopefully he can do some good things tonight against the Dogs and get some +6s and score solidly tonight. And then James Blank, 190k defender. I don't think he's going to be a great scorer. I'd prefer other options over him, but he's just a guy to watch. If he obviously went bang first up, then maybe we jump on him next week. But I'd prefer guys like, I'd rather pay up for Parnell. I'd rather get in D'Ambrosio, who'd be my number one target. And then I think Isaac Chugg as well, also making his debut for Collingwood, which I'd probably rather him as well because he probably's got better scoring potential, I think. Captain VC options, I think Jack Macrae and Josh Dunkley are the top two. Obviously, everyone's saying Macrae this week, so Dunkley's probably going to be the one that goes bang, but I do think Macrae will be the guy that goes bigger tonight. He's just looking better. I know that Dunkley's ceiling hasn't been there the last sort of month or so, but that's not to say that Dunkley won't just come out tonight and score a 120 plus because he got the 139 against West Coast. He's just got the 84, 107. So, again, it's just, they'll both be good tonight, I think. I've just got Macrae just ahead. But if you want to go Dunkley against the crowd and go for someone different, it's definitely not a bad shout either. Because if I look at the percentages at the moment in terms of captain and VC options, so Macrae 10% as VC, 20% as captain, and then Dunkley's 9% VC, 4% captain. So not a lot of people going Dunkley at all. So if you want to go something different, Dunkley could definitely be a guy that catches some ground up for you. West Coast Essendon is the other game. So that's 8:10 Australian Central Standard Time. So that's 8:40 for Eastern Standard Time for those people on the eastern side of the country. So that's going to be a late sort of start for you guys. So, but then again, it's a Friday night. So, Billy, I've got Macrae as VC2, mainly worried that he's number 2 in Calvin's captains. Yeah, well, I've got him straight captain. So I think it'd be good tonight. It's him and Dunkley. It's always like who's going to score more. So we'll see how that goes tonight. Players to hang on. If he was out of his list, I'd feel very safe. I think Calvin knows what he's doing. He's had a couple of some of the people that have done poor on his list have done poor just because of their fault, not certainly Calvin's fault. That's for sure. But trade targets from this game. So Massimo D'Ambrosio is my number one downgrade type. If you're looking at downgrade, I know a lot of people aren't because you've got Butters, English, Preuss, and then you've also got guys like Zorko and De Goey and guys like that are out this week. So I think not many people are going to be able to get to D'Ambrosio or another rookie, but if you are, I think he's definitely the best target. And Zach Merritt as well. Good matchup against West Coast tonight. I think he'll reward you if you were to jump on him. I prefer other options. I prefer like a Bont and guys like that over him, but Merritt's still not a bad target, regardless of him with his last two not scoring over 100. I still think he's not a bad target. Players to watch, Elliot Yeo. So he's more of a guy that if you're trying to complete your team and you want to take a risk, or for next year, if he's playing this half-back role, could get defender status. He's not averaging much for the year. If he plays the rest of the year out and averages 70, could be really underpriced next year. So he's more a guy to watch for next year, but also he is under 600k. If he starts playing really well, then maybe he's a guy that if you want to take the punt on him, you could. But he's obviously he's been quite injury prone last couple of seasons, so I wouldn't. But just a guy there. Nick Martin as well. Hopefully, if you've got him, I'd probably hold him for at least this week, especially with all these problems anyway. But I would have held him anyway against West Coast. Good matchup. I think he'll score quite well tonight. Callum Jameson, I know a few people are going to be using him as cover for Speakino. I probably wouldn't. I don't think he's going to score that great. He hasn't shown he can get much over 40. So I'd personally be moving. If in that case, I'd be trying to get someone else on your field other than Jameson. And Ben Hobbs as well. I know a few people are potentially looking at him as cover for English. It'd be great to emergency loophole him and see what he scored, then decide if you're going to hold English. But unfortunately, you can't do that. But he could score really well because they are playing against West Coast, and there is going to be no Parish and no Parish and no Andy McGrath. So he'll probably get plenty of opportunity in the midfield. So I think he will score well tonight. And then captain VC options. The only one I could really pick out of this game is probably a real smoky because he could go big as Zach Merritt just because it is against West Coast. But that's probably the only reason why I'm putting him there because of the matchup. I wouldn't be doing it based on form, but if you want to go something a bit different, that's probably my smoky VC pick of the week. Would probably be Zach Merritt, who could go big tonight. Let me see, is anyone actually gone Merritt? I'm just going to search and see if it's got like, yes, a 0% have got it. But that's just a smoky pick that I'd probably have. But yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. So JR, Sam Hayes late in for Port. Glad it was late. Otherwise, I might not have gone for Jackson. I don't think he is. Warney tweeted on Twitter, it's actually Sam Hayes that came in. It was just an error that they put Sam Hayes in. So it actually isn't Sam Hayes unless something's come through lately No, it's not. So yeah, he's not in. But yeah, so let's go through the the teams anyway for the Sunday. Thanks, Jar, for the segue there. But yeah, so we'll go through the teams here. So for North Melbourne and Adelaide, so North Melbourne, Taran Thomas, Cam Zurhaar, Ben Mackay, Aiden Bonner, and Jackson Archer makes his debut. So we'll talk about him a little bit later. And then Charlie Lazaro is out as a medi-sub. Corrin Haynes been dropped. So too Flynn Perez. Lockie Young and Jason Front are out through suspension, and Jack Zeebel's out injured. And then for the Crows, Mitch Hinge and Harry Schoenberger into the side. And then Lockie Murphy's been dropped. Also, Matt Crouch has been dropped after 31 touches. So I did see that earlier today. And then Riley Thilthorpe out with that injury. And then for Collingwood and GWS, so Isaac Chugg comes in to make his debut for Collingwood. And then Tyler Brown out as a medi-sub and Jordan De Goey out for personal reasons. And then for GWS, people know why I'm excited already, because Daniel Lloyd, Phil Davis, Xavier O'Halloran, and my boy is back. Tim Taranto. Timmy T is back. Oh, thank God. That's been how many weeks? 5 weeks I've had him on my bench and he's finally playing. So, yeah, very, very happy that he's back. I shouldn't have held him this long, but, oh, well, you make mistakes. That's, 5 weeks. Better late than never. Jared Brand is out as a medi-sub. Zach Sproul's been dropped. James Peatling's out injured. Braydon Preuss out through suspension. Ryan Angwin's also out injured as well. And then for Port Adelaide and Gold Coast, you've got Trent McKenzie, Stephen Motlop, and Travis Boak come into the side. Brynn Teakle obviously out with that collarbone injury. Tom Cleary out through health and safety protocol. Same with Darcy Byrne-Jones, and Zak Butters out injured as well. And then Chris Burgess and Malcolm Rosas come into the side for Gold Coast. And then Joel Jeffrey out injured. Connor Buderick, DC's not going to be happy with that, out injured. And then Will Powers out injured as well. So there you go. I'm just very happy. Tim Taranto is back. I've held him for so long. I know the smart play wasn't, but it was almost like, he's going to be back the week after. It's just the injury reporting was just not great with him, but he's back. So actually, where's he been? Is he on the bench still? Has he been named on the ground? Because I know sometimes they swap players onto the ground. And I do want to see where Nick Dacos has been like it, because he was named on the ball. Isaac Chugg's been named on a halfback flank. No, so Taranto's on the bench, but they've got Xavier O'Halloran named on the box. That's obviously not going to happen. And they've got Cornelian at half forward. So yeah, GWS have never really named the team of what they're going to like. Like Riccardi's normally named on a wing. He's been named on forward now this week. And then you've got like Harry Hilmbe's centre half forward. I think that, actually, hang on. So that's the other thing I had to look. So Phil Davis comes in. So Sproul's gone out. So if I'm having a look at that, then it looks like, because I thought Phil Davis would come in and they'd also bring in Kieran Briggs. I thought that's what they were going to do, and they're going to play Briggsy and Keith in the ruck. But it looks like that Keith's got the number one ruck role, and it looks like maybe a Harry Himmelberg's going to be sharing that ruck load, because he obviously did that towards the back end of last week. So that would definitely cross Himmelberg off of the target list for this week, I think. Riccardi could do that. They used him a couple of times last week, but Himmelberg's probably going to be a guy they do use. And with Phil Davis being that, they do have now Davis, Taylor, Haynes, and Iden as they're sort of those guys that can play as those defenders. So, yeah, I don't see Himmelberg could play in defence. I hope he does, because I think he has been playing well there, but I don't see Keith being their ruck that they use for the whole game. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they do like Riccardi instead, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, I would certainly be crossing Himmelberg off list. But yeah, Dacos also been named on the ball, and Cameron's been named in the forward line, and Cox has been named at the ruck. But I still think Cameron will still be fine. Anyway, so we'll get back on track. So we've got Carlton and Fremantle. So players to watch in this game. Sam Doherty, good target if you can afford to part for him. I think he's still going to be number one defender, averaging 109 for you. I did say post-buy, I think he can push that 108, 109 average for the year, and he's already averaging over that. So let's see if he can keep that going. I think he will. Great target if you can afford the money. Andrew Brayshaw, great target as well. He's priced at less than what he's averaging. He's been the number one player all year, and I don't see really that changing much. He's still going to be a top 4 mid guaranteed pretty much, but and I think he will be at this stage the number one midfielder. So if you can bring him in, then that's a very good move. Sam Walsh, I don't mind him as well. Has been solid. I think he's only had the one score under 109 his last 5. So yeah, it's been good. Pincher watches the forward status as well. He's been playing at that half forward role. I don't see him getting it. I don't think he's played there enough, but just to watch, because he might. I don't know what the percentages are. George Stewart, if you're looking for a defender as well, I know he had his first poor game last week, but I still have him in my top 6 defenders at this moment in time. So if you can bring him in, he's got a high break-even. He's done 800K, so I still don't mind him as an option. And then, yeah, Sean Darcy. So he's the guy I'm looking at bringing in this week. It's just the injury risk is just the thing I'm nervous about, but hopefully he can go out there and do his thing and play well. Good matchup against Carlton this week. So if you're looking at bringing him in, hopefully it'll be good instant reward for you guys and for myself. Other players to watch, unnecessary trade targets. Paddy Cripps, excuse me. Tough match against Freo, but he's been good last couple of weeks with back-to-back hundreds. Obviously just not kicking those goals to make those 120s and 130s, but hopefully he'll be well. Luke Ryan's just a name to keep an eye on as a cheap pod option in defence. He's been playing quite well lately, and since they've had Pearce and Brendan Cox in the team, and they've also moved Griffin League forward, Luke Ryan hasn't been playing as much that key defender. So he's gone 137, 71, and 112 in his last 3. So just a guy to keep an eye on. I don't think he is an option. He's 701K, so he's expensive, but he's just a sort of a guy to maybe put on your watch list to see how he goes over the next couple of weeks. I think he was ill during the week as well, so I wouldn't jump on him this week, but just someone to watch. Will Brodie as well. Let's just see how he goes. A second week with Nat Fyfe in the team. Hopefully he can play well, but if not, you can move him on. He's still averaging 92 for the year. He's not that far off of those top 6 forwards. So, I don't mind holding him for another few weeks. But, yeah, just see how he goes. If you can move him on this week, if you've got no issues, I still don't mind that play either. But, yeah, if with the English and Butters and Preuss issues, I doubt whether you're going to have these luxury trades up your sleeve. Captains and VC options. Andrew Brayshaw, obviously great option if you can VC him then, but I would imagine he'd probably be your captain because you would have had a guy from the game last night, so an Oliver or a Neil or Petrarca, and not more Petrarca, but just name it, or the game tonight, you would have had like a McRae or a Dunkley VC. So, yeah, Andrew Brayshaw, good option, captain or VC option. And then Sam Doherty as well. He's just been too good. You have to look at him potentially as an option for a VC or a captain because he's just scoring really just as good as those premium midfielders. So, definite option you've got to consider as well. And very different as well. Not a lot of people are going to do that. So, because not many people do like going defenders captain. They more go for your midfielders, obviously. So, and yeah, probably the other guy probably should have said from the Bulldogs Hawthorn game that's not actually a bad option is maybe a Bont if you want to go someone as a sneaky VC as well. But I probably wouldn't do that, but because I'd rather McRae and Dunkley, but just a guy to consider. Geelong and Richmond at the MCG, so the twilight game on Saturday. Tom Stewart, trade target. He's not owned by a lot of people in those top 1,000 spots. So if you bring him in and he goes bang, could rocket you up those rankings. So I don't mind going early on him. I'd personally rather wait till next week to bring him in because he's got North. But again, you can go early this week and bring him in. Cam Guthrie's been very, very good for like 6-7 weeks. So again, I think he's too expensive for me to really look at him as an option, but he's got Richmond, North Melbourne his next 2. Good matchups. If you are keen on him, I don't mind him. I don't see him being a top 8 mid, but since round 6, he's gone 107, 100, 107, 78, which was his one poor game against St Kilda, 114, 126, 98, 126. So he's been really good his last month especially, and that 98 was against the Bulldogs, who are the most restrictive, I think, for midfielders. So, yeah, his next 3, Richmond, North Melbourne, and Melbourne. So good matchups coming up. I just don't like that he plays only low 70% game time. If he was in the 80s, he'd definitely be an option, but I just don't like those 70 because it's obviously less chance to get points. And then Toby Nankervis, obviously, the few ruck options this week, obviously, with English and Preuss out. Nankervis is probably the safe play because he's just been consistently over 80 for like the last 7 weeks, but I'd prefer Darcy. I'd prefer Witts. I would have probably preferred Jackson because I would have preferred to save that money and get Nankervis. Who's the other? There's one other guy. I don't even mind a Ryan Marshall for a week. Actually, no, I'd probably rather Nankervis over Marshall, actually, but yeah. I'd rather Nankervis over him. But yeah, Nankervis not a bad option. But with Sola coming back, it probably takes that shine away from bringing him in. You don't really want to be bringing him in when he's sharing the ruck. Other players to watch, Mitch Duncan. I've crossed him off my list, but I know a few people got him, so hopefully he can put up a good score for you guys this week. He will go 150 at some point in the rest of the year, but then he'll probably back it up with another 80 the next week. His first quarters are great. He always scores at least 30 points. Like pretty much on every given week, he scores at least 30 points. But then after that, he goes missing for at least a half a footy, and he gets his 70 to 85, 90. But yeah, not a top 6 forward unless I see something drastic change. Jaden Short, again, I don't see him as a top 6 defender at the moment. Based on form, this role, he hasn't been scoring well. I know he got a 101 last week, but he did score a fair portion of those points late in the game when he did actually move back behind the ball, took a few marks. I think he was on 80 with a few minutes to go, and he ended up getting to that 101. So, again, if you've got him, I wouldn't trade him unless it's an absolute luxury and you can move him to like a Doherty, for example. Then that's an absolute luxury. But I don't see him being a top 6 defender based on what he's producing the last 5 or 6 weeks. Liam Baker's an underpriced guy. He is filling that Jaden Short role. I wouldn't jump on him. It's just something for the adrenaline people out there that want to go for someone a little bit different and want to go for a real pod. But he's been, good the last few weeks. What's he done the last few weeks? So he's up 632, breaking to 57. His last 5 weeks, he's gone 88, 111, 71, 78, and 103. So he's been solid. But yeah, I'd probably prefer other options. But hey, if you want to look at someone, then you can go them. Captain VC options, I wouldn't go anyone. Maybe if you got Stewart, something as a VC, but I wouldn't do it as a straight captain. It'd be a VC play, but you'd probably have already used a VC by then, so I wouldn't do anyone from this game. Sydney St Kilda at the SCG, so the Saturday night game. Good game, this one. Well, there's a lot of good games this round. The Geelong-Richmond game was a good game. The game last night wasn't really... I didn't think it was an amazing game, but it was still obviously the top 2 teams. Carlton Fremantle, great game. And then you've got, other games. It was a good round in general in terms of matchups. So Luke Parker, trade target. I don't mind him as an option in the forward line. I do prefer Bont and Treloar over him. And again, if you don't have Dunkley. Parker v Taranto, that's an interesting one. Probably lean to Parker just because of the Taranto's just come back from injury. But I think Taranto will probably score more for the rest of the year if he's fully fit. Jack Sinclair, love him as a trade target. He's been so good for me since I brought him in. I've only owned him for 2 weeks, and I know he's only gone back-to-back sort of low hundreds, but he's just been so consistent. Like, again, I've said it a couple of times on this podcast before. He's gone, take away the 84 against GOS in Canberra. Obviously tough. Like, it's just a weird ground to score on. And same with Port at Kazali Stadium, where he got 84 and 80 respectively in those 2 games. He hasn't scored under 93 all year. And since round 8, he's got a lower score of 98. So, he's just been super consistent. And Brad Hill is also out this week, so that could be even better for Jack Sinclair. He could be huge against... I know Sydney's a tough matchup, but he can actually be quite big with Brad Hill being out. More kick-ins for him. They'll look for him a bit more as well. So I think he'll be really good. Callum Mills, again, another trade target. Last week I preferred Mills, but after with all this, like, sort of, he can go back and play that role. I'd prefer Brayshaw, but I think Mills will still be a top 4 mid. I do like him as an option. Rob Marshall is more of a 1-week play, but if you want to take the risk that you won't have any problems next week and you can move Marshall on, I don't mind Marshall as a play because he's got a good matchup. Hickey's not an easy matchup, but the fact that he will be a solo ruck with no rider, I do like him as an option for a 1-week hit only. I don't see it being longer than that because he's been scoring 50s and 60s with sharing the ruck with rider. So I don't see him being a long-term play. It's more of a 1-week fill-in. And Jack Steele as well. I would love to go early on Jack Steele this week, but I do want to see him for 1 week. If you want to, he's a guy a bit like Tom Stewart and Tim Taranto. They're going to be top 8 mid, top 6 defender or forward. You can launch early if you want to go. I'd personally prefer to wait for 1 week and see him tackle and stuff and make sure that shoulder's 100% good to go. But if you want to jump early on him, I'm not going to say no to you doing that. But he'll be a top 8 mid, I think, for the rest of the year. Jay Gresham as well has been good. It'd be interesting to see what his role will be with Jack Steele in. I don't expect to change much. And if it doesn't, then he's going to be in the mix, those sort of top 6 to 8 forwards. He's been really good the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. I don't see that ceiling being there with Steele back, but it's just something to watch and keep an eye on. Captain and VC options. Callum Mills is probably a clear one here. St Kilda are a tough team to score against. SCG, though, should be good. In terms of Jack Steele, if you bring him in, it couldn't hurt to put a VC on him, especially if you want to be real creative and something different. Jack Steele, I don't actually hate that idea of a VC on him first up, and then going a Laird or a Dawson on the Sunday. Sorry, it's not the worst play, but I wouldn't be doing it. I'm just throwing it out there. I know people do like to here's some other options and stuff. So that's just something to consider. Moving on to Sunday games. So North Melbourne, Adelaide at Blundstone Arena. So targets to look at. So Jackson Archer, 190k defender. I do like him as an option. I think he will stay in the team long term. So I don't see why they'd bring him in for a game, then drop him when they're rebuilding. So I do see him being in there for a few games. So 190k basement, I do like him. He's probably my favourite 190k play. I didn't mention him before when I said Isaac Chugg and that, but I do prefer him. Archer's probably one. I'll probably have Chugg 2 for scoring potential. I've probably got Blank 3. Just because I don't see him scoring potential being there. So, yeah, Archer's definitely the pick there. Roy Laird, if you're going up to big min, you've already got like a Brayshaw. I'd love Laird as an option. I've said, obviously, multiple weeks. I said I was getting him in last week. I did get him in. Very happy with the 124 on debut. This is high score for the year. I'm looking forward to him hopefully going and getting some 130s on the run home with these easier matchups. And that could have been a 140 on the weekend. He gave away 3 free kicks. 2 of them were for tackles when he tackled high. They were just high, but they were free kick against. And then there was another one. I can't remember what it was for, but that's a 20-odd point swing. And then that would have been a 145. I think I ended up working out it would have been. So, but yeah, I think he'd be big on the way home. Top 4 midfielder for the rest of the year in my eyes. So great target. Same with Jordan Dawson. I think that I know a lot of people aren't sold on him being a top 6 defender, but I am 100%. He's locked in for a top 6 defender. Like he's gone in his last since round 6 against the Dogs, he's gone 106, 128, 101, 111, 98, 93, 118. And the 98 was against Geelong in Geelong, and the 93 was against West Coast when it was wet. So what more do you want? You don't want much more from a defender than that. And I've said as well, the other 3 games, rounds 4, 5, and 6, there's reasons for him scoring under 100. And I'm sure most of you know why. I've said it multiple times, so I don't need to say it again. But yeah, he's a great option. Averaging 100.5 for the year. And yeah, just very good and easy run home. So yeah, definite target. I don't know who's going to get tagged out of Dawson or Laird if they send Turner to someone. For me, I'd put my money on Dawson because I just see them wanting to play. Surely they're going to play their better midfielders in the midfield. So and Dawson is our most damaging player as a Crows fan saying that. So I think that's what I'd be doing if I was North. But then again, just don't tag because I've got Dawson on my team. So don't tag Dawson or Laird, please. Patrick Parnell. It's difficult at this time of year. So he's over 260 now. I think he's 262 from memory. I'd really like the fact his break even is -15. So if you have got this is the way I'd be getting Parnell in, right? So I've actually in a fortunate position where I've got a lot of players that are expensive on the bench. That's actually probably because I've actually had injuries. I haven't been able to cash these guys out yet. But if you guys have got a bench that's not loaded with guys that are expensive, where you've got a few red dots like your Skinners and guys like that on your bench, I would pay up the 60k for Parnell. And the reason I would is because Parnell's keeping Luke Brown out of the side and he's playing that well, right? He's got to break him -15. If he plays for at least 3 weeks, he's going to make you at least 100k over the next couple of weeks. It could be valuable money for you to upgrade your team later in the year. If you've got a healthy bench, I don't think you have to pay the extra 60k. I'd just get D'Ambrosio, I think, instead. But I don't mind that player paying the 60k up just to get that more cash gen, because it could really help you getting a player you want and then a player you don't really want. So just something to keep an eye on there. And then Riley O'Brien as well, another target, obviously with English and Preuss being out. I'd probably put him behind, Darcy and Witts in terms of those ruck options. I think that O'Brien's got the tougher game out of those 3. O'Brien's got the ceiling over Witts, but I think Witts has got the good matchup over the next 3 weeks. I think he's got Port this week with no Sam Hayes, no Teakle, no playing Finlayson and Dixon. So great matchup. That's a consideration that I'm looking potentially at going Witts because of that easy matchup, and there's less injury risk with him over Darcy. So that's just something I'm considering. So Jake Saligo, if you've got to have him as cover for a Butters or an English this week, I think he'll play well. He's been pretty good last month, been consistent. Got a 78 last week. He's obviously making nice money as well. He's now up to 403k. Yeah, so his last 4 scores, 77, 61, 61, 78. He got a 59 before that in his first game back. So you know what you're getting. You're going to get around that 60 to 80 mark. And yeah, he's been consistent. Aaron Hall, just a name to watch. I would probably put a line to him as an option for the year, but just a guy to see what he does. He's got to be a guy that's always got to be on your radar. Breaking in 143, so he's still going to drop in money. He's only had the one game since coming back. The bye would have done him. It would have been good for him to have a game, then have the week off, and then come back. So yeah, hopefully Hull can become an option, but I don't know if he will. Taron Thomas, more again, as similar to Elliot Yeo, probably more a watch for next year. Potentially as a guy that gets really cheap and maybe underpriced, but if he starts playing really, really well, he's under 500k, he's 496. Like, who would have thought? So yeah, just a guy you can watch if you've got absolutely no cash to make your car upgrade. If he plays really well this week, could be something that you could potentially look into, but I personally wouldn't. Jed Anderson, I know some people have got him still. He scored well against the Crows this week. Ben Keys, I know a few people have been frustrated with him, but I think against North, I think he put up a decent score. And obviously, I had Matt Crouch there, but obviously he's been dropped, so we don't need to speak about him. Rory Laird and Jordan Dawson are two clear captain options in this game. I doubt whether you're going to be able to use them as a VC unless you've got unless you're going like a Laird or a Dawson into a Toot Miller. I don't know why you'd be doing that, but so it's more captain options. So yeah, again, I think Laird's the one out of the two I'd pick. So I think Dawson could get that tag. And I think even if Laird does get tagged, he got tagged by Lockie Ashton and still got a 110. So I think he'll be fine, even if he does get tagged. But if Dawson doesn't get tagged, we did see what those Giants defenders did to North Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. So that could be something as well. Collingwood GWS, the middle game at the MCG on the Sunday. So opposed to trade targets to look at in this game. Stephen Cornelio, great target. If you haven't got him in, it's been great last month. Definitely look at him. Harry Himmelberg, I'd probably cross him off the list now. Just I think he is going to play that backup ruck role. He may be a guy that I need to move on next week. So, but yeah, he's got to break into 22. So he made a lot of money this week. So I'm actually still happy I jumped on that train. 70k, that's really helpful. It's only going to cost me now, what, if I want to get to a Treloar or a Parker next week, or even get it back up to a Tim English, it'll be a lot easier than if I had a rookie. Because I think I went Mitch Owens up to him. So it was I'm very glad I did that. And I know a lot of people be glad they jumped on him as well, but I probably wouldn't be targeting him anymore. Jack Crisp, great target. If you haven't got on him yet, he's expensive, but you just know what you're going to get from him. De Goey being out, I think it's going to mean even more midfield time. Great option. Lockie Whitfield, underpriced still. Gone back to about 130 and 99. So he's been great. He's looked good in this role. Back to his wing role. Great target. Darcy Cameron, people looking at him. For me personally, I do think he is still too expensive to look at as a target. I would almost prefer to go a Wits or a Darcy over him just because he's made all that money. If you bring him in now and then he starts putting up poor scores, you've missed out on all the cash gen plus he's then going to maybe potentially start dropping. So I'd personally rather other options. If you went even a Jackson over him, that would have been obviously nice move as well. But yeah, I'd prefer other guys. And Tim Taranto is a trade target. Again, similar to Jackson, I'd probably want to watch him for a week. And I'm probably the guy that knows the most about Taranto because I've had him in for 5 weeks and he hasn't moved. But yeah, I'd personally want to wait. But if you want to go early, if you've already got like a Bont and you can't afford anyone over 790, I would probably prefer Taranto of those guys. But yeah, he's an option. Other players to watch, Nick Dacos. Hopefully he can put another good performance in. His break even still low. I think it's like, 47? Yeah, 47. So hopefully another big score coming. He'll make some more money. He'll be near 700k hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then we'll be able to move him on late in the season if he continues this role. Because with Penderbury in the side, back in the midfield, he's just that main guy back there. And with De Goey out, it could even be more points for Dacos back there because I think Penderbury will spend even more time in the midfield. Josh Kelly, I wouldn't target him this week, but if you've got him, he's probably only captain VC option I'm really look at in this game. Could be huge in here. He's had a good record against Collingwood in the past, and Collingwood do give up points. So I do like him as a captain option, but not necessarily a trading option. So if you've got him, you could consider him. And Jacob Ware as well. If you've got to have him as cover for an English or a Butters, I'd still like him. Jacob Ware's been sod last 2 weeks. What, 7? I think he's been sod in every game he's played. So he's gone 58, 64, 72, and 67. So again, very similar to Saliga. You know what you're going to get. So I don't mind him if you need to play him on field for a week. And then the final game, Port Adelaide Gold Coast. So trade targets, only a couple here. Connor Rozee, if you can't afford anything over 790 and you're looking at a guy that's a bit cheap that could be close to those top 6, I don't mind Connor Rozee as a guy that with Butters out could score quite well. Butters could only be out for a week or two. So maybe if it was between Rozee and Taranto, I might even go Taranto just because I think Taranto will be a top 6 forward. So that's probably the thing that would split those two for me. And then Jared Witts as well is a nice option to consider in the ruck, along with Darcy. As I said, Witts or Darcy is the thing I'm looking at. I've got to make a decision before the game starts at 6:30. So maybe when discussing it on the Twitter space after this may actually help me clarify that decision. I'm looking at Darcy at the moment, but maybe if my mind gets changed, I might go Witts. I don't know. We'll have to see. At the moment, I'm going Darcy, though. Other players to watch, you've got Dan Houston. Decent match on Gold Coast. Hopefully, you can score well if you've got him. Ollie Wines obviously hasn't been amazing. He was a bit better last week. I think, did he get just over 100 or was it just below? 105 against Sydney. Good score. Gold Coast, see how he goes. Decent matchup. So hopefully he can put another good score if you've got him in your side. And then Toot Miller has been frustrating, but I do think he'll go 100 plus this week. Just depends how high he goes. But yeah, he hasn't been amazing this year. And captain VC options, Toot's probably the only guy you could really look at. But again, I'd prefer other options. He hasn't been trustworthy and consistent enough over the last sort of month or so to sort of guarantee you a good score. So I'd prefer other options, but I thought I'd just list him there as a guy that made people want to go. So let's get stuck in these questions. So we'll get to the live chat first, but I do I'll do because I've got some ones on Twitter as well. I've got people to send me questions on Twitter. So if you've got questions, put them in live chat. I'll go for another probably 15 minutes. And then if I haven't answered any questions, I'll just answer them on the Twitter spaces. So let's try and get through these. So, 465. Wow, thank you very much. So now, thank you to whoever did that. Again, I don't get all notifications, so sorry if I can't sort of say your name out. But thank you for those other couple of subscribers. Now we've got 35 to go. So if you are one of 35 people that haven't subscribed, make sure you click the subscribe button. It's easy to do. It takes 2 seconds, and it really does help me out. So thank you very much to all those people there. So, let's have a look here. So we got Moynia Monkey, first question. So Parker or Taranto for De Koning? So as a Taranto owner, I'd love to say Taranto, but you've got to go Parker there. We've seen Parker. You know what you're going to get. Who knows what Taranto's role is going to be? I think he will play midfield. He played midfield in the Magoos last week for a half and played really well, got 22 disposals and 82 points the first half there. But again, is this back injury? Could it flare up? It could. I just don't know. I'd rather Parker for the safety there. I would love to say Taranto, but I would be going Parker there. Liam O'Flynn said, did Butters to Jackson and wanted to do Zorko to Taranto or Parker? Unfortunately, I forgot that Brisbane were playing last night, so missed out on getting rid of Zorko. So what rookie should I get? Oh, that sucks. That's unfortunate. I would have gone Parker there if you could have. But in terms of rookie, I said before, I think D'Ambrosio is my number one downgrade target. If you can pay up for a rookie, I don't mind Parnell as well. I'd probably have a number 2. And then if you want to go down a basement, I do like Jackson Archer. I think he will be a guy that stays in in North Melbourne's team for the foreseeable future. I don't know why you'd bring him in and then drop him again. So, in terms of other options there, you got sort of like an Isaac Chugg was named for Collingwood. I don't know job security, so I don't think it'd be too great. James Blank's been named for Hawthorn, mid-season recruit. Could be in there for a bit. Again, I just don't know about his not job security, scoring potential. As I said, D'Ambrosio is my number one target. Rhett Bazzo's not a bad target as well for West Coast. I think they're going to want to play him. So if you want that defender forward flexibility, I don't mind Bazzo as well. So I'd probably say D'Ambrosio 1, Parnell 2, Jackson Archer 3, and Bazzo probably 4. That's probably how I'd go in terms of my rankings. But I'd probably almost go to Fry for Fry's Cash Cows and probably look at that on DT Talk, or even go see what Jeppa thinks, because they're obviously the 2 rookie experts. But that's probably what I'd say with my rankings there. Mr. Ronnie 41 said, hey, Bales, traded out English and Greg Clark for Jackson and was 2K short of McRae and settled on Keys. The fun and roller coaster begins. Cheers, dude. I don't mind the Keys. I wouldn't probably target Keys. I know he's got a good run coming up, but he hasn't been great. So if you're looking at options sort of 2K less than McRae, you've got plenty of options that are 9, 12 or less. So like if you don't have a Doherty, I'd go Doc. I'd almost rather go Jack Steele earlier than bring in a Keys. I wouldn't bring in Toot, but I'd probably rather Toot over Keys. Walsh, I'd rather over Keys. If you don't have a Crisp or a Sinclair, I'd rather those two over Keys if your defence hasn't got enough names. I'd probably rather Cam Guthrie over Keys as well, to be fair. Dawson, Stewart. I'd probably rather cover, a couple of names over Keys, Mr. Ronnie. So if you want to consider any of those guys then, but if you want Keys, then go for it. I think he's got a great run, so he could still be good as well. So, and with Crouch being out, maybe that means more points for him. JR says, Butters to Taranto and loop Soligo with Hoff in mid, or go early on Tom Stewart and loop McComb with Judson forward. I would be going Taranto, and then I think the best score of Hoff and Soligo will be better than McComb and Judson Clark. If you can wait until McComb's played first, and then if he doesn't score well, then you can, because if McComb goes and gets an 80 plus or a 70 plus, then you just do that. Sorry, 60 plus, you just do that. Whereas if he goes under 60, then you just go. So hang on. So what I would do, if you can, I'd go McComb, emergency loophole on your forward first. If he scores under 60, then you move on and you bring in Taranto. But if obviously McComb gets plus 60, then you can always bring in Tom Stewart. That's how I'd play that there, JR. Paul Lewis, Taranto or Bont for Jeffrey. I'd go Bont in that one there. You just, again, you know what you're going to get with Bont. He's been playing. I know he's got that shoulder issue, but at least he's playing. It doesn't really seem to be bothering him too much to the eye. So I'd rather watch Taranto for a week or so first. Zach A, what do you think about English and Preuss to Nankin O'Brien? I have to use both my trades on rucks or else I have a red dot on field. So, yeah, it's a tough one when you got to use both on your rucks there. Nankin O'Brien. I don't think I'd go both Nankin O'Brien. I'd probably want one of Witts, or I'd probably rather go Witts and Darcy as a combo if you can afford those two, because I think, again, they've both got great matchups, instant reward there. I would definitely go those two first. But if you want one of Nankin O'Brien, I'd probably go like an O'Brien and a Darcy, or O'Brien and Witts. That's probably what I would do there. But yeah, if you want to go Nankin O'Brien, then there's certainly in the top sort of 4 rucks that are playing this week. What have we got here? So Billy says if he was out, oh no, I read that already. JR, Sam Hazel, oh no, I read that already as well. Billy, Timmy time in for another Tim in forwards. Yeah, I don't mind that play, especially if you, I'd prefer some other options over Taranto. I was surprised, actually, I did a Twitter poll just wondering who people liked as targets in the forward line, and it was between Bont, Treloar, Parker, and Taranto. And I think Taranto was the most voted. Yeah, Taranto, 91 votes there. Taranto, 38%, Treloar, 29%, Bont, 19%, Parker, 14%. So that surprised me that Taranto was the favourite out of those. I'd probably go Bont 1, Treloar 2, Parker 3, Taranto 4, if I'm being honest, just because the Taranto thing you just don't know. But I don't mind going early on Taranto because he will be a top 6 forward, I think, if he's fine. But yeah, if you want to go Taranto for English, I'll certainly tick that off. Max Matthews got Salem this week. Hope he hasn't hurt his knee further. Yeah, I hope he played out the game, so I think he'll be okay. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Billy, thanks, Max, for taking the hit for the rest of us. Don't have much money, so Salem will be cheap for me next week. I don't think I'd be targeting Salem now after that. I would be certainly staying clear. I'd be going for Whitfield or something like that instead. Billy also said Archer might stay at basement price. Highest VFL score of 50 this year. Yeah, that's a good call. But I just think that you want to get a guy that could be at least a heartbeat on your bench. That could be, if you have a late out and you don't have any trades, could be a guy that you can use. Even 40 points could be quite important for a matchup or rankings or whatever. So I do still like Archer for his job security. I think his job security will be fine. Max Matthews, yeah, double whammy. Having Salem in this week and not getting Jackson. This round's killing me already. Yeah, I know. Jackson doing that start off for people that had him would have been great. If you don't have him, then that's great. Brett Johnson's in the chat as well. So thoughts on Jed Anderson as a pod, or play it safe and go Bont, Treloar, Taranto, rank 260. So yes, I know, Brent, you were number 1 overall. And I know you have had some tough luck with a couple of things that have meant you've slid down time, but you're still in the top 300. So certainly a lot better than what I'm doing. But yeah, I would be going one of the Bont, Treloar, Taranto. Personally, for me, I like Bont the most out of the 3. I just think Bont is one of the best players in the comp. He's been a bit sort of poorer in a way this year. He's only averaging 96, and I think he'll average 105 for this year. I think Treloar's a great option as well. I just would rather save the 30k and get a Bont. And Bont's probably a little bit more of a pod compared to Treloar. I know a lot more people going for Treloar. So if you want a pod Brett, I think Bont will be that pod for you over Treloar. And then Taranto as well, it's a risky play, but it could actually, if you rank 2-6, it could be something that could pay off a bit getting up there. I'd probably go Bont 1, Treloar 2, Taranto 3 still. I'd probably rank it as you've written it there. Joe Keys, who to get for Butters, can afford any mid or forward, looking at getting Brayshaw. So, yeah, Brayshaw for me is the pick there. I think Brayshaw, Laird, Mills are the top, probably the top sort of three. And I'd probably go literally in that order. I'd go Brayshaw 1, Laird 2, Mills 3, I think. Billy, so Spike plays in position, hence why him considered him early. I think he will play mid. I'm just worried with this back issue. Is it going to be something that's going to be there for next few years? Paul, so got Ware, Parnell, and Saligo on bench. How long should we milk these guys for upgrading all decent break even? So I know Selby says it all the time, but I do agree with him where I'd be saying that the upgrade that you're making should dictate your downgrade. So if going early on a Jacob Ware, who'd be the most, going early on a Saligo, going him down because he's the most expensive of those three, gets you up to an Andrew Brayshaw or someone that you really want, I'd be doing that move. But you want to be milking them when their break even reaches close to what they're averaging for the year. That's more than what they're doing. So be it all three, you definitely can. I wouldn't be trading Parnell, but Ware and Steve you can definitely hold for another couple of weeks. But just depends on your upgrades, I guess. Brett Johnson, cheers, mate. Reinforce what I was thinking. Bonnet is, yep, you're on the Bont train as well. So I'm on that train as well. So hopefully they go well. I'll quickly answer these questions on Twitter that people had for me. So we'll start the first one. So that was, where was it? If I go here, I got, I think, 3 questions here. So no, sorry, 3. Harrison Smith on Twitter says, do I go English up to a Brayshaw and have 2 rookies left on field and get Taranto next week? Or do I get Taranto now and have 1 rookie till English comes back? So do I go English to Brayshaw and have 2 rookies, or get Taranto and have 1 rookie till English comes back? I'd probably do that, Harrison. I'd probably get, I know Brayshaw's the better play, but you want to get those rookies off. So I would be getting Taranto and then having the 1 rookie on field. So I'll be going Taranto on the 1 rookie. Lauren asks, really stuck on Laird versus Walsh. I have Oliver, Brayshaw, McCrum. Thinking Walsh can get close to Laird and extra money will be handy, but Laird's runs juicy. I understand that the money could potentially be appealing, but I would rather Laird out of those 2. I think Laird, you just know what you're getting. He's playing full-time midfield. Walsh isn't playing full-time mid. He's still spending some time forward. So I would be going Laird. And then also that run home makes him better. If you have got a few rookies on your field, Lauren, then I would be potentially looking at Walsh, because if that is the difference when you're getting a rookie off your field, that's where I'd be considering it. But if you're just looking at who's the best, I'd be definitely picking Laird there out of those 2. Jacob Rivers, Jacob, mate, hope you're doing well. He asked on Twitter as well. So he said, tick off keys for to Brayshaw. So, Jacob, that'd depend on if you've got all your rookies off your field. If you've got your rookies off your field, then I would tick it off. But if you've still got a rookie or 2 on your field, then I'd probably look at upgrading some other players. If you haven't got an English or a Butters, that's great. Good news if you don't have those. But yeah, I'd be. I don't mind that play, but I would prefer upgrading other players. But yeah, if you want to go Keys to Brayshaw's going to be the number 1 midfielder, I think, for the rest of the year. So I don't mind that play either. And did I have any more on here? Yeah, and then Lauren just said, Laird versus Walsh again. So yeah, I would be going Laird in that one, Lauren there. So I reckon that's it. Actually, we got you. So Matt FXRR says Jen Anderson. As I said with Brett, I don't mind Jen Anderson, but I prefer other options. I prefer Bont, Treloar, Parker. I didn't prefer Taranto. I'd prefer Dunkley if you don't have him. I'd probably prefer Rosie over Anderson as well. But if you want to bring Anderson in, then he's still going to be close-ish to those top 6 forwards. Shannon Page, cheers, Bales. Good luck with Tim T. You deserve a huge return. Thank you, Shannon. I think I do as well, because I've held him for too long. So hopefully he goes well. Billy says, thoughts on Owens coming back next week? Just depends. I think with Steele and that come back, I don't know if there's a spot in the team for him anymore, because it was just unlucky he got concussed when he did, because he could have solidified his spot in team. I just don't know when he is. That's why I did get rid of him. I wasn't sure if he's going to come back in. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure on his job security. I don't know if he'll come back in. Paul Lewis, who would you trade first out of Daicos or Brodie? It's a very good question, actually. And that'll probably be a question I'm actually going to pose to the people on the Twitter space when I go live on there in a sec as well. I'm actually going to say, who would you trade first out of Daicos and Brodie? So, Paul, to remind me, if you want to tweet me that question on Twitter under the Twitter space, and I'll get the guys that answer for you, because that's a good discussion. But out of those two, I think Brodie's probably the guy who goes first, because, yeah, I just think he's more expensive. You can get up to a better player, and Daicos still making money, and he's got a better role, I think. Sorry, not better role, because they've both got great roles, but I just think Daicos's price increase and his scoring potential over the last couple of weeks has been better than Brodie. So I'd probably hold Daicos and trade Brodie first. Matt FXRR, hold Nick Martin. I would hold Nick Martin this week, especially with all the drama going on. Good matchup against West Coast. But again, if he's your worst player on your field, you can upgrade him. So that just depends on your team situation. But that'll be it for the weekend forecast. I think there's a lot of questions today. I really like that. Good stream today. We'll be going on to Twitter Spaces live in a couple, literally probably within 5 minutes on there. Make sure you join in the chat there. I'll get some people on. Put your questions in the tweet me at my Twitter, or tweet just underneath the Twitter space, and I'll be answering those questions. Plenty of chat. We got an hour and 20 minutes until the lockout, so plenty of discussion. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We were on 465. I think we gained like 3 subscribers while watching. No, we gained another one, 466. Thank you very much. 34 away from 500. So if you can help me get to 500, subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. You click one button in there, and also turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live on Fridays at 4 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time, and Sundays at 7 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time normally, when the game's at 4:10. This week it'll be probably at 6:30 when I go live. So yeah, make sure you tune in for that. And then also make sure you and I never asked as well. Make sure you share the weekend forecast, share the weekend report, share the Twitter spaces, just share all of them. Get it around to more people. More people might want to get involved. So but yeah, appreciate all the support, and also like the video as well if you haven't already. Matt says, Timmy T playing. Yeah, he is. Yep, he's been named. Very, very happy with that. And then Billy says, going Daicos up. Brodie had first cash loss last game. Yeah, I do agree with that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure you do also follow me on Twitter as well. As I said, we'll be on Twitter Spaces in about 3 minutes' time. Plenty to discuss, so we'll continue live chat over there. And yeah, if you don't want to get interested in that, then that's all good. And have a good weekend this week. And I'll see you guys on Sunday night for the weekend report. So I'm out. Cheers.